Hello everyone, I'm Grandmaster Denes Boros, and this time I'm going to show you one of my favorite games from my Benoni days, as this is going to be a new series, my Benoni games that actually helped me become a Grandmaster. So the first game that I'm going to show you is between me and Arik Brown, who was a junior champion of Germany. And in this game, I decided to venture and go e6 with the sole intention to go c5. Now, this does remind me of a story. Long time ago, I asked the Hungarian Super Grandmaster, Rapport Richard, when he was just an upcoming player, and wondered, what openings do you play? He said, oh, I play the Rouser. Said, I also play the Benoni. And I said, gotcha! But how do you play the Benoni? And he said, well, I have a particular move order, and it is with e6 and c5. And I basically said, twinsies! We had exactly the same openings, yet completely different coaches. So I'll show you what the point of this c5 line is, and you're going to learn more of it as you continue on in your journey and watching these videos of Benoni days. So c5, d5, takes, d6. The point is, in this scenario, the knight is not committed to the f6 square. In fact, it can go to e7, and if you are really into exotic stuff, it can also go g6, knight h6, with intentions of getting the knight to d4, but I digress. So e4, Arik is playing it straight up, g6. So that's the whole point. Black is on evading mode, waiting for white to decide what he's going to do, and based on that, I can decide my own plan. Knight c3, bishop g7, and here Arik chooses the most sharp way of playing with f4. If knight f3, however, black can go a6, a4, stopping this b5 push, which usually is the play for black, and then bishop g4, pinning it, and if you move away, just take it. Why take it? Well, in these type of positions, the bishop on g7 is what we're banking on, and this bishop is somewhat walled up by the e and d pawns. Not to mention, because of the close nature of the position, knights are slightly favored, and it usually gives a very fine play for black. Castles, knight e7, or you could also go knight f6 if you like it more traditional. Now instead, here my opponent played f4, wanting to get into a sharp game. However, there's a difference between this position and the classical one with knight f6. If I'd go knight f6, this would transpose into the main line with bishop b5, bishop d7, a4, etc. However, in this case, I will have an extra option of keeping my bishop open. I played a6 against bishop b5 and preparing b5. Knight f3. Very principled play by Arik. Doesn't even go a4 because he thinks and believes that he should be rolling down the board. I said, okay, I want to grab some space. Now, it would be an alternative to go knight e7 or even bishop g4 and then knight e7, which should lead to a very comfortable position. b5 is double-edged, but it does give me some play on the queen side. Bishop d3, knight f6, e5. Now, all and in the next move, white could still castle, and would get a very sharp game, although I would have this extra b5 move in, which usually means black has a good position. Now, e5 actually gets into huge complications, and there is no turning back. I've got to go full frontal and into complications. I had to take. F takes, knight g4. Obviously, I cannot take this pawn due to this tactical trick of bishop takes b5 check, and I lose my queen. And I do not want to be queenless. Knight g4, hitting that e-pawn and also setting up some nasty little tricks, my own. If white castles, I can go c4 and queen b6, basically ambushing the king with that knight f2 check ideas. My opponent goes bishop g5, very principled, queen b6. So if you're not castling previously, you're not going to castle now due to c4, not just winning the bishop, but still eyeing the knight f2 plan. My opponent goes queen e2. So if we take stock of what happened, well, white has a huge grip on the center, but his king is in the middle. So my biggest weapon in this position is to go and develop quickly. So I castle. I don't even care about the safety of my knight anymore. Even if you go h3, bam, we take it, rook e8, and it's a deadly pin. You go bishop f4, knight d7, and if you take, I take the queen with a check. So this will lead to a ruinous position for white. So h3 obviously was avoided, d6. And this is again a moment you might need a little bit of time to think. White is trying to hop on in and attack as bigly as possible. If that happens, bishop e7 happens, problems are arising. So I said, oh well, we've got to move on forward. Now I can't really go with knight takes e5 ideas due to this knight d5 trick. Because the knight is coming in there, and that is nasty. So I played bishop b7, playing again for piece activity and pressure on the center. In this sense, the Benoni is a twin of the Grunfeld. You are giving up the center, but you get very good counterplay. Bishop e7, saying, oh, your rook is in danger. What are you going to do about it? And I said, nay, I ain't gonna do nothing about it. I don't care about that rook. I just want to swarm on in. You take, there's c takes d3 too, and I would get 2 pieces. So that's a bad deal. So Arik played bishop e4, bishop takes e4, knight takes e4, rook e8, e6. Trying to run those pawns down and attack my king that way. And if you go f takes, that runs into knight g5 and immense pressure on my position. So instead of bothering these pawns, I went full throttle in f5. If you ever go d7, even though skin of my teeth, I still managed to stop that from queening, and the next move is going to be knight c6, and I'm completely dominating. Knight c3, and this is the last critical moment. Here I do have to be absolutely careful and accurate. If I make one mistake, it can be gone. So my main point in this position that your king is stuck in the center. So I decided to fix it. Now you can't castle on either side, both is illegal, and you don't have that knight d5 idea that has been so annoying before. King d2, sad necessity, f4. I ain't leaving this outpost. g3, b4. Chasing the knight, knight a4, queen b5, takes, knight f5. And even though this pawn managed to chase my knight away, this king is very vulnerable, as well as that knight hanging on a4. Knight e5, but knight e5 is not good enough. If takes, there'd be some hope with d7, but after queen d5 check, it is a game over. If you go king c2, there's knight d4 and I win the queen. If you move anywhere else, I take the rook. Therefore, in this position, my opponent resigned. So, what did we learn from this game? Well, we learned that in the Benoni, it's all about the dynamic nature of the position. You do not care and willing to give up the center if you get good piece play and you can attack your opponent's pawns and king. So hope you enjoyed this video on the Benoni, and if you like it, do subscribe and look forward to more.